I'm gonna record this right before I get a coffee. There's gonna be no edits except for the ones that the script makes. Today I want to talk about writing Python code and also the idea of transcending writing Python code. And what do I mean by this? I also study a lot of other different creative pursuits, and I definitely think programming is one of these pursuits. And when you study creativity, a lot of it is around letting go of the medium. I have no notes, but I'll say some analogies that really resonated with me for a long time and then share how that ties back into writing Python code. I think most famously, Miyamoto Musashi said, "You must swing a sword as if you have no arms." And you're like, what the fuck does that mean? Same with swimming. Like, you should swim as if you have no arms. I thought that was like really dumb for a long time. But then it really clicked to me in the sense that I think about doing jujitsu not really with my arms or legs. I'm only a blue belt. I'm not that advanced, but already I can get a sense of like when I am doing jujitsu with my body versus when I am just doing jujitsu. And it really just comes down to letting go of the medium. Another example, and I'll try to think about this a little bit harder as I continue talking. Another example is John Mayer saying that for the first 10 years, he was able to pick up a guitar and play guitar. And the next 10 years, he was able to play guitar, pick up a guitar, and play music. And again, it's about letting go of the medium. You stop thinking about swinging the sword, and you stop thinking about like how your arms move, right? Whether or not your thumbs are aligned, how like over the head, what's the angle? You don't think about these things. You just think about cutting through the opponent. When you pick up the guitar, you might be thinking about chords and progressions and where your fingers go and like the direction and like which strings you pluck. And if you're thinking about like where your fingers go and what strings you pluck, you're definitely playing the guitar. And it happens to be music. But I think when John Mayer thinks about playing music now, it's just the feelings. It's directions and intention and the ways certain shapes give you like certain emotions or whatnot. In jiu-jitsu, a lot of the jiu-jitsu I do now, I do with like my eyes closed. And a lot of it has just been around, okay, with his opponent, I can like, this sounds bullshit because it feels bullshit, but you can like sense the aura, the direction they want to go to close off certain angles of attack. You know how to expose your weaknesses and lay traps. But none of it is like, my hand goes here, and then my other hand goes here, if I pull this way. But when you start, it is that, where like, oh, if I push them, they're going to push back. And then if they push back and I move my hand away, they're going to fall forward, and that's going to off-balance them. Now it's like, where do I want you to go? I want you to move forward. There's things I'll do to make you move forward. If I want you to move backwards, there's going to be things I do to move backwards. But a lot of it now I think about when I think of jiu-jitsu is like, oh, it's telekinesis, really. Jiu-jitsu is about telekinesis. I can make you move by like acting a certain way versus the hand goes here above the neck. Da, da, da. Okay, so this is like a big ramble. The idea is, okay, we should write code as if there is no code. Like, we should write code as if there's no syntax, whatever. But fundamentally, what this actually looks like in practice is for the first 4 years of writing Python, I was very obsessed with like being Pythonic and like being idiomatic and making sure that like my Python is like Python-y. I would read about like decorators and context managers and the importance of using generators. And I would watch all these PyCon talks and fundamentally think about Python. And not only Python, but the syntax of Python, like the meaning of whitespace. And as I got older, it's okay, like this is super useful because I have these tools and techniques to write code that's easier to manage in other ways. But then really quickly, as you like transcend these languages, like I write other languages, like I know Java, Scala, like I played around with like Haskell, I have written a bunch of TypeScript code. I still think of Python as my main language, but when I write Python, I don't think about Python anymore. I'm not thinking, oh, if I use a decorator, someone will know that I'm like a Python developer. Like if I use generators this way, like they'll know that I'm like a Python developer. It's just I'm getting shit done, and like the level to which I need to use certain special tools depends on like the importance of the task, right? Like I don't need to make things complicated, and for the most part, I should just write like code that is dumb as fuck because the work I'm doing is dumb as fuck. If it needs to be smarter work, then maybe I gotta write smarter code, but ultimately, I think it's like a waste of effort to be thinking about the language itself. Because when you do that, you're like playing guitar by thinking about where your fingers are going versus trying to play music or convey an emotion. And yeah, I think that's like a big thing I've learned in the past couple of years with writing code is I've let go of the syntactic sugar and the cuteness of things. and I've moved towards just like utility and like these higher level order things around how code is organized and how code is managed. As in my consulting, I've gone even beyond code to think about, okay, how are projects managed? How do you move people? How do you move time and attract talent and judge people's talent and allocate capital? And these are now like you build software without thinking about the code. To a founder, it should be really easy that like, yeah, you're trying to make music. You're not playing the guitar. And yeah, I don't know. A little bit of a ramble. It was like 6 minutes and 50 seconds. I hope this makes sense to somebody.